video, we're going to build a basic transition, and we're going to use an example of this piece of this duct right here is our furnace, and this is the top of our equipment right here, connecting to our main duct. And we're going to build this reducer by drawing a plan view and then laying it out by hand using S drives to connect it. So this is a field transition. You can do it anywhere as long as you have metal, S cleats and drives, or just drives, and a bar fold and a pair of snips. Pretty easy. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to do is draw a plan view. So I'm going to draw my equipment in first. There's my furnace. And it is 9 inches wide by 8 3/4 inches deep. So 8 3/4 inch on my equipment and 9 inches on the back side and the front side of my equipment. Next, I'm going to draw my main duct. So this main duct is 10 inches by 12 inches. So here we're going to draw the main duct on top of that. And this is 12 inches. And this is my duct side. And this is 10 inches. And this is my duct side. Next, I need to know how tall it's going to be. So I'm going to get as level as that piece of duct, as level as possible. And it looks like it's about 8 inches tall. So I'm going to use that measurement of 8 inches tall. Now that's my duct height. Now I need to add my S cleat on the top. So 1 inch for my S cleat on the top. I'm going to bend out a 1/2 inch seam for my equipment flange. So total, that's going to be 9 1/2 inches of metal. So the very first piece I'm going to build will be my back piece right here. So this is going to be my back. This is going to be my right. This is going to be my left. And this is going to be my front. Okay, so I'm going to build this back piece first because I know that it's going to be exactly 9 1/2 inches tall. And then I'm going to build my left piece because I know, because it's square to the duct, that it's going to be 9 1/2 inches tall. So I need 2 pieces of metal that are 9 1/2 inches by at least 14 inches, I'd say. 16 inches on this side with my seams. So here's my back piece, 9 1/2 inches tall. And I'm just going to use a stump shear to cut it. But if you're in the field, you could cut this out in the field with your shoulder shears. So there's my back side. Let's measure it. Make sure it's 9 1/2 inches tall. Yep, 9 1/2 inches tall. Okay, now when I'm going to be laying this out, I'm going to be laying it out like this. I'm going to fold it down. So my bottom of it is going to be my equipment flange, and my top of it is going to be my duct. So on the bottom of it, I need to scribe 1/2 inch for my equipment flange. And on my top, I'm going to scribe 1 inch for my duct flange. Now I'm going to have to connect this side to my left side. So I'm going to scribe 1 inch and put an S cleat right there and connect it to my left side. Now I'm going to label this back. And this end I'm going to label equipment. And this side I'm going to label duct. And this side I'm going to label left. Now I'm going to measure I'm 9 inches on my equipment. So from that S cleat right there, I'm just going to draw that so you can see it. That's 1 inch in. This is a 1/2 inch up. So from there, I'm going to measure 9 inches because I need 9 inches right here on my piece of equipment. And I'm going to mark it on my scribe line. So 9 inches right there. There's my scribe line. So now when I put this back up, it's going to be exactly 9 inches there. Here on my top side needs to be the 12-inch duct. So again, on my 1 inch scribe line for my S cleat, I'm going to mark that at 12 inches. I'm going to mark it on my scribe line because if I mark it up here, it's going to be messed up. All I got to do is just connect those 2 dots. And then add 1 inch for my S cleat to connect to my right side. Here we go. Now, I just have to chop this and I'll bend it up. I'm going to cut out my notches. And there I have it. My backside's laid out. Now I'm going to bend it up. So here, I'm going to bend that out a 1/2 inch. Here, I'm going to bend this in 1 inch to connect to my left side. Here, I'm going to bend this in 1 inch to connect to my right side. So there it is. This is my right side. Next, I'm going to make my left side. So there's that part right there. This part right here, made and done. Now I need to make my left side. And my left side is also on this 90-degree plane. So it's also going to be 9.5 inches long as my duct height is 8 inches. So I need a piece that's 9.5 inches long with a square side on the back to put into there. So again, I'm going to take a piece of scrap metal. Nine and a half inches long. 9.5 inches long. I got a square side, so the square side is going to end up being on my back side. That's going to be connecting to my back side. So here we go. This piece is going to go right here, right on there. And when I lay it out, I'm going to lay it down flat from this so I can see from the pattern that I'm doing where I'm going from. So this is going to be my equipment side. So I'm going to mark that at 1/2 inch because I'm going to bend that out. Okay, this side here is going to be my duct side. So I'm going to have to be 10 inches there, but I'm going to have a 1 inch drive. So there it is, 1 inch. Now, since I've already got an S cleat seam right here to connect to the side of here, I don't need to add anything to that. So again, I'm going to add my equipment one, which is 8 3/4, my equipment side, onto my 1/2 inch bend. And I'm going to put that on my 1/2 inch scribe out. So there it is. That's my 1/2 inch scribe out, 8 3/4 inch. Then I'm going to connect to my duct side, which is right here, 10 inches, which I have written on the other side, duct. So I know this side and this side is the duct side. It's going to be 10 inches. unless you have unsquare duct. And if that's the case, well, that's too bad. So here, 10 inches. And I'm also going to put it on that 1-inch scribed line. I'm going to connect these two dots right here. I'm going to call this my left side. And this is my top end. And this is going to be my front. This is going to be my duct. And this is going to be my equipment. So there it is. I'm going to cut this out. And then I'm going to bend it. Notch it. Okay, there it is. This is the inside of it, so I got to bend that equipment side out. So here we go. All right, there it is. Now, if we look down on it, we are 1/2 way done with this fitting. Okay, so now, how do we get the height of the front? Because it's not square, it's transitioning down into there. Well, that's easy because we have it right here. We can get the front height from the left side of the angled cut, and we can get the right hand height from the right hand side of the back cut. So the height for the front piece is going to be from here to my 1/2 inch bend, which looks like 8 1/4 inches. So this is 8 1/4 inches. Plus a 1/2 inch there, plus an inch there. So 9 3/4 inch. 8 1/2 plus an inch is 9 1/2. Plus a 1/2 inch is 9 3/4 inch. So my front side is going to be 9 3/4 inch total height. So I can do that right here. Nine 3/4 inch. 9 3/4 inch. Get that off there. Here we go. Now I have it. This piece is laid down like this. This piece is laid down like this. This piece is going to lay up like this. So this is going to be my front side. Okay, and this is going to be my left side. All right. So I'm still square on this specific transition from here over, and I'm square from here over. So square, square, not square, square. So first I'm going to scribe in my duct, which is 1 inch on the top. Remember, I have to have a square side to do this. I'm going to scribe my S cleat that's going to bend up and connect to my left side. Then I'm going to scribe my equipment flange, which is a 1/2 inch on my bottom side. Now I'm going to measure in. So this is going to be laid back down just like this. So I'm following my plan. And on my equipment side, which is my 1/2 inch side, that is 9 inches. So I need to be 9 inches from my S cleat seam. And I need to be at my 1/2 inch mark. So I'm going to mark it in case you can't see it. And then my duct side is 12 inches. So here we go. 12 inches. Right there. And I'm going to intersect that with my duct seam, which is another S cleat right there. I need to mark this. And then next, I'm going to Add an inch. Here we go. I'm going to add an inch. Now I'm not adding an inch like this. I'm going to add it square to my seam. Draw it in. Now I'm going to cut this up and bend it, and I will be 3/4 of the way done with this transition, at least the layout of it. Okay, so now this S right here that's going to go into my duct, it needs to be bent up. So I'm going to bend that up and in, right there, that high, like that. And then my 1/2 inch needs to be bent out, right here. It needs to be bent more of an angle, see, because it's coming like this. Okay, and then my 1 inch in for my S to connect to my left side. And then my 1 inch in for my S to connect to my right side. Okay, there it is. Now you might say, Gary, this is 3/8 on the bottom, but you keep calling it a 1/2 inch. Well, that's true. So I have 1/16 inch of play here on this piece of metal to play with, because I'm not bending a full, this is actually 3/8 of an inch instead of a 1/2. I do know that. Okay, so now I am 3/4 of the way done laying out this fitting. All I have left is to build my right side. Now, my right side height, this is my right side right here. So the height or the length of that right side is going to be this from here to here, plus 1 inch, plus a 1/2 inch on the bottom. So, get out my tape measure, my ruler here, 8 3/4 of an inch. Right there, 8 3/4 of an inch, right there. So 8 3/4 plus 1 inch makes it 9 3/4, plus a 1/2 inch makes it 10 1/4. So I need a piece of metal that's 10 1/4 and square on the back side. So here we go. 10 1/4, 10 1/4. Chop that off. There it is. So again, I'm going to follow my plan that I drew. And there, I am almost done with it. So here, this is going to be my right side. This is going to be my back. And this is going to be my equipment. And this is going to be my duct. And this is going to be my top. So, I need to scribe 1 inch for my duct. I need to scribe a 1/2 inch for my equipment. Now you can see that this is square here, so I don't need to have any, it's square there. The only place that's going to be transitioning is right here. So I'm going to measure my equipment, which is 8 3/4 of an inch. So they're written right there. And I need to make sure that I put that on my equipment flange. So I'm a 1/2 inch out right there, 8 3/4 of an inch. And then on my right side, I'm going to be 10 inches on my duct. So 10 10 inches on my duct. Connect these two lines. There it is. Cut it. Cut it off. Notch it. Now I'm going to bend my equipment out 1/2 inch. I'm going to bend it a little bit more because it's going to be sitting like that. I'm going to bend my duct in. So there it is. So you can double check your work by laying it out just like that before you leave the shop. Now, if this was bigger duct, I'd put X's in it so it doesn't pop. I just use a brake. You know, you gotta use a brake for big duct, otherwise it's gonna pop every time the furnace comes on. So next, I need to cut my S cleats. So I got 4 S cleats I've got to cut. So here we go. I'm gonna cut an S cleat. I always cut them about 1/2 inch smaller. Give myself a 1/4 inch of play. So there's S cleat number 1. Here's S cleat number 2. Here's S cleat number 3. And S cleat here. One the same length in the back. One for each side. Slide my S cleats in to my main duct. Now remember, it's always better to build a little bit bigger by maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch, or 1/4 inch. 1/2 inch would be a little bit eccentric. And then cut it down in the field. If you have to cut a little bit off in the field, that's much better than building it twice. That's a little long. So here's the back piece. Slide it in there. Screw it down. That looks great. Here's my right piece. there. Slide it into my come on. This is where you need a screwdriver. There it is. Now my left piece. As you're doing this, you should be screwing it, but I'm just going to assemble it real quick. Maybe. Ah, see? This is where that duct stretched a little bit. I'm going to cut that 1/4 of an inch off of there. There it is. Oh, that's better. There it is. That looks pretty darn good. Into here. Put that into there. Front piece is always a little tricky. I'm sure this is getting out here a little bit.
So when he called at 1:30, I told him that you were in a meeting.
Here we go. So there it is. Some screws, some pookie or some tape, and that's going to be a perfect basic transition.